In his 10th year, Mike Seeley, the head coach for UCLA, as you mentioned, Karch, the first ever losing season, 13-14 and 8-12, did not make it into the tournament. Regional semis in 2017, but early on in Coach Seeley's tenure, national champion in 2011. 94th meeting all time between Stanford and UCLA. The Cardinal lead it with 53 wins, including a 4-match win streak. There you see the series history, and in Pauley Pavilion, Stanford, even with all of that, UCLA, one of the legendary programs in college volleyball. Between these two teams, they have won an even dozen national championships, as Morgan Hintz, the returning most valuable player, most outstanding player at last year's national championship, an All-American Libero, and we're underway. Best 3 out of 5. Nice quick play out of the middle. Emily Ryan, 6'4", redshirt sophomore out of Maryland. Only played 4 matches last year. Pretty impressive snap that time off a perfect pass, Karch.
Yep, she's bringing some good offense, but you mentioned it, a little inexperienced. Stanford's hoping to use that to their advantage with a lot of good passing to run a faster offense. That's not the kind of pass Stanford wants.
Fitzmaurice working into the cross court and misses that out of bounds. Mac May back at the service line out of Dubuque, Iowa, 6'3" junior, an honorable mention All-American last year, averaging 4.4 kills per set. That is second best in the Pac-12 conference. Back to Fitzmaurice. That ball over the top did not have a lot of very crisp topspin on it, so a difficult opportunity for the back row of UCLA.
You know, Paul, you mentioned that you want to get topspin on it some, but the ones that don't are actually tougher to defend. If you could hit it that way every time, you'd be really tough to stop.
Here is Adriana Fitzmaurice, 6'6" senior out of Kansas, twice a second-team All-American, and a good block. Madeline Gates, an interesting story. Last year, she would have been wearing white and blue for UCLA. She was a second-team All-American for the Bruins. She graduated in 3 years, and as a graduate transfer, now starring for the Stanford Cardinal.
Yeah, applied and got accepted to Stanford for a master's in statistics, but only then talked to Stanford coach Hambly about playing because she had an extra year of eligibility.
That is remarkable. Got accepted first to study for her master's, and then went and knocked on Coach Hambly's door and said, I'm in school. Yeah. I've solved your biggest problem.
And the other problem for UCLA is their only slide hitter is across the net now. That's why they have to run a 2-setter offense. They just don't have any middles who can hit off 1 foot behind the setter.
Mac May out of the back row, dug by Hintz. Get used to that. A very nice block. Jenna Gray, who likes to be a fairly offensive and aggressive setter, has that ball stuffed right back at her. Nice play by UCLA.
Yeah, Hintz has the green light anytime she's playing defense. Did you see how Stanford gave her half the court to cover? And she handled it against the big arm of Mac May.
Kelly Berry, the libero, wearing the off-colored jersey. A little miscommunication there, and McClure rolling over the top. A chance for UCLA to extend their lead.
Tight play. What a nice save.
And there is Gates on the slide. Nice dig by UCLA. Good rhythm defensively now for the Bruins. Some nice block touches, but can they turn them into points? Not yet. McClure looking into the cross court, and UCLA is really putting some defensive pressure on the Stanford Cardinal, making them take some extra swings.
Yep, and that's a part of UCLA's DNA. It always has been. They haven't necessarily been the most dominant blocking team, but they take great pride in coming up with a lot of defensive plays.
Callie Thompson, 6' senior out of Las Vegas, transfer from Portland on the floor now. Again, Mike Seeley deploying a 2-setter system, and if at first you don't succeed, you go back a second or a third time off a perfect pass, and Gates with a kill.
Speaking of more time, Jenna Gray has been doing a wonderful job distributing the offense more. Coach Hambly mentioned early in the season, one of the things they learned in a really tough pre-conference schedule was they were too dependent on Catherine Plummer. So they've made a nice adjustment to share the offensive load more. Nice hustle.
That's going to be a net violation called against the Bruins. The serve off the top of the tape by Megan McClure, second-team All-American last year. She had been playing just across the back row, sharing time with outstanding freshman Kendall Kipp, who's just on the floor now. But since Plummer's been out, she has been superb. We'll get into her numbers in a moment. Dug by Hintz, but out of bounds, and that ball had some velocity on it from Mac May.
Yeah, that's a term you'll hear in volleyball a lot when somebody has a big arm or a cannon, and Mac May has that. They are going to be running her, and you could see Stanford concentrating 6 hands, 3 blockers against her out of the back row because UCLA wants to use her, and she's one of the most efficient hitters in the country on that, what we call a big hit down the middle out of the back row.
There's Devin Chang, 5'11", sophomore out of Newport Beach. Boy, some communication problems for Stanford.
But I sure like that set by Morgan Hintz. Wow.
Taken out the trash is Kendall Kipp, wearing number 10 in Cardinal. 6'5" freshman, also out of Newport Beach, ranked the second-ranked recruit in the country last year. Skylar Fields of Texas was considered the #1 recruit.
Yep, after that errant pass, that was a really good replay of Morgan Hintz jumping in. Every player on the court, Paul, needs to be able to make that set because the setter can't get to some of those errant passes and errant defensive plays. Lexi
Hadrich, 6'1" redshirt freshman out of Vista Murrieta, was one of the stars in the Bruins beating Oregon State as they've gone to the 6-2 system, had a career-high 15 kills last Sunday. Kipp again.
Kipp's got an arm, too.
Mac May going for the radical angle inside the 3-meter line and caught the top of the tape. A break for Stanford as Gray goes back to serve with UCLA leading 7-6.
Either radical angle or trying to hit at us. That was coming.
She might have been hitting at me. She might have been. I know she wasn't hitting at you. You would have dug it. It would have hit me in the face. Wow. Ace serve by Gray.
She will serve. Most setters who play right back defense will serve from that position, but she serves from left back, from zone 5, and she can hit a little harder. It has more room to travel, more distance, and she hits a nasty serve from there.
And she has got a wonderful arm as that ball drifts over the sideline. She's finished in the top 4 in the NCAA championships the last couple of years in the javelin. She was a runner-up and then finished just off the podium most recently, and has a chance to compete in the 2020 Tokyo Games in track and field.
So I guess she has a good arm.
I think she has a good arm. Sabrina Smith, 6'3" redshirt sophomore out of Moraga, California, and some good service pressure from the Bruins.
And whenever the Bruins can serve at Kendall Kipp as only a freshman, not that experienced, and now you can see Stanford already moves Kendall Kipp out of the formation, so now they're going to pass with 2. But anytime UCLA can serve at Kipp, they should try to do so.
Shank pass again, and this one on the usually reliable McClure.
But when you have to cover the court with 2 players instead of 3, as Hintz and McClure are doing right now, there's a lot of, now Hintz is covering 2/3 of the court all by herself.
She's standing right at the top of the key.
And she was ready to pass that one too.
Kipp over the top, Smith going to the floor, middle blocker hustling on defense, and then the cutback out of the middle is nicely done. Holly Campbell, 6'3" sophomore out of Austin, Texas, and what a match she had against Nebraska last year in the finals. 15 of 29 with only 1 error. She was a real offensive surprise in that championship match. Nice dig by Formico in the back row.
Nice set.
Oh, and the ball drops. That was a good swing by Fitzmaurice. Stanford's got to come up with that ball.
You know, the trouble with giving the green light to Morgan Hintz is sometimes people are just going to sit and watch and wait for her to get everything. So she could have gotten this, but other people got to help her out. Right. She can't take the whole court by herself.
Well, you talked about the Cardinal depending too much on Catherine Plummer for her attacking and blocking and all the rest. They're depending way too much on Morgan Hintz. They expect her to get everything because they've seen her get everything.
UCLA all over that. We saw them. Ooh, that's not a good set.
That is a bad miss that time by Barry, the libero out of Manhattan Beach, wearing number 7 in the blue jersey.
But UCLA is executing their defensive plan well. They were talking about how McClure likes to roll the ball to shallow middle of the court, and setter Kaylee Thompson for UCLA was all over it.
Bruins continue to lead it by 2. Out of system here, away from.
Nice cover.
The Stanford block looking high up into the hands. Jenny Mosier. And here's to McMay.
Uh-oh, that's too close.
Not for Jenna Gray. What a set that time by number 1 in Cardinal.
You're right, Jenna Gray saving that one. And Jenna got the UCLA blocker to jump with her. So this is going to end up being 1-on-0 hitting. Not a great connection, but you don't need it with no block.
Gates, like McClure, like Fitzmaurice, has really picked up in the absence. Mosier is able to pull that ball down the line, but it is wide, successfully down the sideline, but a little bit wide for number 4 in white, 5'11" junior out of Lakeville, Minnesota. 14 kills, her season high against Washington State.
That's a nice tough serve from Hentz.
Pretty good touch that time by number 4 McClure, but a nice isolation from McMay.
And the isolation part that's so good is the best blocking matchup there is to have May hitting against McClure, who is a much weaker blocker. Not that she's bad, but weaker than Fitzmaurice.
May back to, oh, look at that. Free ball. McMay available out of the back row if they want her. Instead, cut back out of the middle, and this is Emily Ryan. UCLA looks very, very sharp.
And it starts with their serving. Coach Hambly said, you know, we can pass well, Paul. We're going to put some real stress on these young UCLA middles. But instead, Stanford not passing so well. Lots of service pressure.
That ball is served just over the end line. Stanford only hitting 118 so far in the early going in this match. They are second to only Cal in the Pac-12 in terms of efficiency as Fitzmaurice goes back to serve. On the season, Stanford is hitting 284 against one of the toughest schedules anybody's ever seen.
Oh, we don't want to give an easy one to Hentz.
Right side to Mosier. McClure is there. Both teams working hard at the defensive end.
Nice up.
Good read that time by Mosier, number 4 in white. Simo into the cross court. Number 11, Savvy Simo, 5'10" senior out of Rancho Santa Fe, who was a libero last year, showing you that she has got all-around game as well. That was a nice swing by number 11.
Yeah, she's been picking her spots a little with some extra care. You pointed out what a good read to keep that play alive, but caught Hentz creeping into the middle of the court trying to cover too much ground. UCLA has led throughout the early stages of this match. This opening set on top. Perfect pass there. Gates off the edge of the block and out of bounds. Madeline Gates over the last 6 matches is hitting .414 and had 13 very important kills last Sunday against Utah as McClure will go back to serve. UCLA at 10-7, 5-3 in conference. Stanford 13-3, tied with Cal for the top spot in the conference at 7-1. And that ball drifts out of bounds. Both teams really trying to apply some service pressure. And so far, UCLA has had the better of it. We'll step aside here from Los Angeles. The Bruins on top by 2. That dates all the way back to 1887. Number 8 Notre Dame takes on number 19 Michigan at the Big House. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ABC, and of course on the ESPN app. And Notre Dame has not won in Ann Arbor since 2005. Michigan still stinging a little bit after losing at Penn State last week. Devin Chang on to serve. UCLA continuing to lead 15-13, make it 15-14 after the service error. Why do you think Stanford is struggling so much in serve receive right now? I think just UCLA has really put the pressure on. A good serve doesn't cross the net by much, and a lot of UCLA serves, that one went into the net, but a lot of the other ones are only crossing the net by about a foot. It gives very little time for the passer to respond.
Nice rip into the cross court again. UCLA showing some arms. Lexi Hadrich once again.
Yeah, but UCLA has decided to go with just for this match, the true two-setter, two opposite offense. So each setter plays 3 clicks across the back row and then checks out of the game.
Here's Simo and Kip ripping that ball. What you can do hard into the cross court, I can come right back at you as well. Kendall Kip, 6'5" freshman, as we mentioned, against a very physical Utah team. Was 14 kills, took her 47 swings to get there. Here is Jenna Gray, had an ace her last time through the service line. Working on May. And that ball perfectly swung high off the top of the block and down.
And that's a nice answer to mix in, Paul, because you've got Hintz sitting, waiting cross court, trying to take about half the court. So if you hit it high and into the seam between Hintz and the middle back defender, off some fingers, it'll take Hintz out of the equation. So
UCLA smoothing out their offense a little bit. They were in the high 180s, now up to 261 with some consecutive kills. Beautiful dig, right on target, back to May. And that ball is stuffed straight, and I mean absolutely straight down by Campbell and Kip.
Kip put up a mean line block in transition there. That's something that normally Adriana Fitzmaurice does, but because the play continues, watch her hands go way across the net. She shut down the line. May couldn't find space.
Perfect pass by May. Right side, Mosier is dug by Formico. Good stab in the back court by Barry the libero. What a stab cover that time by Jenna Gray, but a net violation will give point possession back to UCLA. You got that as 4 contacts, Karch?
Yeah.
Nice.
Didn't clear the net.
Yep, on the deflection, and going back to serve now will be the other setter, Callie Thompson. She and Devin Chang sharing those responsibilities.
Yep, and UCLA really aimed to have her running the show early on, but 3 plays into the first match of the season, she sprained her ankle. She was out the whole pre-conference season, so they had some adjustments to make.
Thompson was right there in position number 1, the right back, dug the ball over the net. Is that your least favorite play in all of volleyball? It's close to the top.
You're right. She made a wonderful read. If you can make the ball hit you, that's about 80% of good defense. The other 20% is put the ball high on your side of the net. Geez, you could land a helicopter over there, so you could probably keep a volleyball on your side of the net.
A relatively small helicopter. I'm not sure. Maybe a drone, a big drone. Mac May back to serve. UCLA still leading. This time, 19-17. Watch for Mac May after a dig out of the back row.
That's a tough serve, but a nice pass.
McClure, did she get a piece of the block? Indeed, she did. A touch off the top by Megan McClure.
I like that pass by Kate Formico, and that was one of those tough serves I was mentioning. Mac May hit that one and only crossed the net by about 4 inches. A rocket.
Since the injury to Catherine Plummer, McClure now playing 6 rotations and doing it very well. Incredibly efficient. Very, very low air. Nice play by Mosier. Both of these UCLA setters are distributing the ball very nicely and on target.
Yep, and that's a lot easier to do when you control good serving, as UCLA has for the most part in this first set. Giving their setter something they can work with. Obviously, the best pass you could have is to go into that center blue circle you see. You want to have your setter running her offense from the middle of the net.
Perfect pass by Hintz. Barry with the easy touch. Left side to Mosier and puts that ball away once again. Not only is UCLA out defending and out blocking Stanford, they're holding down one of the better offensive teams with or without Catherine Plummer to 172 hitting, and Mike Seeley and his coaching this season, they've dropped off a little bit. Stanford currently the 2nd ranked team in the country, and they played their last 6 matches without their star Catherine Plummer.
And it looks as though UCLA has been, they did it this last play, and I think they'll do it again. They'll send Mosier, who is normally playing the opposite position, to their left side of the court to try to defend that strong slide hitting in Madeline Gates.
Good pass by Formico. Opportunity for the slide. They take that away and cover tip.
That's too close also.
That forces a net violation. That's 2 point scoring opportunities where the Bruins did not get a swing.
If you could just put that 8 feet off, 10 feet off, 12 feet off, any coach would be much happier with that than a play where the setter has to touch the net just to touch the ball.
Mentioned how solid Megan McClure has been as she goes back to serve. 102 swings last 5 matches, 6 errors, hitting .362. Nice play. Simo off the left side.
Man, she found some space and elevated on that one.
Stanford usually a very reliable blocking team at 2.8%, but the Bruins are just out passing the Cardinal right now.
They sure are. And siding out at a high level. That's when you receive serve. They're siding out about 75% right now.
The lead is 22-19. Here's the other setter, Chang. And misses that serve. That might have been 2 in a row for Devin Chang.
You know, if I were UCLA, though, I would not worry about it because the serves that are going in are causing more than the average worries and problems.
With taking out the trash.
But if you're Stanford, you got to be happy. You've been down this whole set, and your things aren't going great right now. You already mentioned their low hitting efficiency, but they're right in this game. They can completely steal this away from the Bruins.
Stanford has not played well so far, so all the more important for, as you say, UCLA to take this opening set. Good pass again. Ooh, that was a really good chance. Megan McClure, number 4 in Cardinal, is an exceptional defender. Off the block deflection, she should make that dig.
Yep, and how about Jenna Gray? You talked about what an athlete she is, a javelin thrower. She almost came up with that. That was over by the sponsor desk.
There is Simo. Bruins back on top by 2. Tight pass again. Overpass, and Mac May with a 2-handed slam dunk.
And that's the problem, even with a great Jenna Gray at the nip.
Simo to serve, and the Bruins have Mac May out on the left side if they're able to dig a ball.
That was an easier serve.
Kip goes off the top of the block and out of bounds. Yeah, that was a lollipop, as we say, and McClure passed it right on target.
And Stanford with one of their best blocking alignments at the net now. Kip, Fitzmaurice, and Campbell. So if they were going to make a run and score a couple to try to steal, this is, and a strong serving Jenna Gray at the line. This is their chance, but she serves out.
Serve out of bounds. And UCLA has taken the opening set over the defending national champions and second ranked Stanford Cardinal here in LA. UCLA over Stanford in the opening set. Remember, best 3 out of 5 and a really compelling non-conference season. Cards injury. She is day to day. She is improving. Obviously, we hope she's back sooner rather than later, but we're going to take our time. And Catherine Plummer will be back when she is back. The 2-time National Player of the Year. UCLA takes the opening set. They out-hit Stanford 273 to 194 and hold Adriana Fitzmaurice, who's been playing exceptionally well at the offensive end, to only 1 kill on 5 swings.
I was really impressed with the way UCLA executed its game plan. We watched it earlier during their serve pass and had all the blocking lineups they wanted on people like Fitzmaurice. And there's another time where they control her and get themselves a great transition swing.
What a beautiful dig right on target, and Mac May takes care of the rest. Stanford a slight blocking advantage, but look at the digs for UCLA. Just doing an exceptional job putting up a block and digging around it.
And continuing on this very last play with Simo coming up with a great first touch.
Trying to get Fitzmaurice going. Simo another dig. And that ball tipped out of more middle blocker out of Bethesda, Maryland.
Yeah, and I don't mind if a middle feels like she has to attack that ball, but rather than going with some finesse. I say just break out the club and take a hammer at the deep corner.
Was that weak sauce?
That was weak sauce. And not only was it weak sauce, but it was out of bounds weak sauce. That's the worst kind. Oh, nice up.
Hence, giving up her body again to keep the ball off the floor. Nice read by Jenna Gray.
There's a nice first touch, 10 feet off.
And a better block. Stuff block on the outside. We were talking about Adriana Fitzmaurice at 6'6". Okay, there are a lot of tall players who aren't good blockers. She's a really good blocker.
Morgan Hentz on defense has the green light whenever she wants to in terms of basically covering half the court. And wow, love how she laid that out to keep, and she even got 2 arms on that ball, double the control to keep that ball alive.
Misconnection there, and that's going to be 4 contacts. Remember, we had a little fun with Morgan Hentz last year at the semifinals and finals. We called it Hentzville.
Yeah.
And it almost required 2 different zip codes because she covers so much court.
Exactly.
Just a remarkable player. The all-time digs per set leader at Stanford. 3rd all-time in total digs.
But you also saw her earlier this year. Sometimes she moves around so much and covers so much court, she can put herself in not such great positions. She's had a couple of matches where she's struggled a little because she has that green light and just goes anywhere in over a half-court space.
Nice repeat set into the middle by Thompson, getting Ryan back on the board. Tight pass saved by Gray. UCLA might have been anticipating or expecting a call on that backhanded flipper. I like it when they let the players decide. I got no problem with that as a ball handling play that's perfectly legal as long as you're consistent with it, as Fitzmaurice goes back to serve now with her 2nd kill on 8 swings.
Yeah, what a great save by Jenna Gray, setting the ball over her head with 1 hand.
Able to save that again. UCLA bench thought that was outside the antenna. Snap over the block, and that's a net violation. That's called against number 4, Jenny Mosier. Well, we might have our first challenge. Head coach Mike Seeley in his 10th year at UCLA.
About themselves. Ball was called out.
Wow.
Reversal. They learned a lot about themselves when they got so tested. Mostly they learned they can't rely on Catherine Plummer, but they also learned you don't just show up and block and defend well. They learned that against Minnesota after they had beaten Stanford. Minnesota took it to them.
The challenge by the UCLA coaching staff, headed up by Mike Seeley, is upheld. So they have 2 challenges remaining, but most importantly, they took a point off the board from Stanford and put it in their column. So instead of 5-2, it is now 4-3, the Cardinal leading, as Kelly Berry, 5'6" sophomore out of Manhattan Beach, a transfer from the University of San Diego, will come on and serve.
That's the way to keep that first touch off the net.
Mosier going high flat, Hentz all over that. Really good contact by McMay. Not a good set by Jenna Gray, and that ball tipped out of bounds. It's not very often that Jenna Gray misses a connection, but that was a trap set right on top of the net.
Yep, and Gates doing everything she could just to keep that in play. I don't think there was a touch, even though Stanford looks like they're going to challenge and hope for a block touch on that. I don't think that was a ball. Gates was just trying to keep it in play somehow. She could not keep it in.
Jenna Gray is getting a look-see on the sideline from a member of the medical staff and pointing at her right knee. Maybe she missed that set because there was some collision with a teammate. Stanford's hoping that there was a touch off the edge of the block off Jenny Mosier. Concerned about Jenna Gray on the sideline.
Here's another look at that set, coming off 1 foot. Ball just too close to the net and does not look like it originally, and now it didn't look like it touched the block.
And good news for Stanford, Karch. There was nobody around Jenna Gray. We saw that on the replay, so hopefully she is just fine. the two-time All-American setter out of Stanford and twice the setter of the year in the Pac-12 conference. Had the pleasure of doing a match last night at Pepperdine with a former Stanford head coach, 5 times a national champion, John Dunning. And we were seeing some good setting performances up in Malibu, and I asked him, the best setter you ever coached at Stanford? And I felt bad about putting him on the spot. I said, okay, John, the top 2. And he came up, he said, Jenna Gray. I only coached her 1 year, her freshman year, and I think she will go down or could go down as the best setter ever. And that's a big statement. Number 1 in Cardinal for Stanford. As we thought, the ball was confirmed out of bounds with no touch, and Barry will continue to serve, tied at 4. Nice play, a much needed kill for number 4. Stanford has been struggling with their offense. Adriana Fitzmaurice pretty quiet so far, and McClure just 3 kills, Cards, 14 swings to get there. A lot of block touches by the Bruins.
Yeah, executing their game plan well. I like Jenna Gray's choice on that last one, since the Bruins were so focused on stopping the slide.
Shank pass. This is going to be an easy opportunity, at least to begin with, for Stanford. One-on-one on the outside. Good block touch by Mosier, but a net violation.
That's a frustrating one for a team and a coach, that you get this great block touch, but the blocker's forearm touches the net. Illegal.
Mosier, 5'11" junior out of Lakeville, Minnesota.
Only thing more frustrating is when they hit out and you net as a blocker.
Hence is all over that. One-on-one again, and Kip turns it down the line, but wide. Boy, that was a really good opportunity and a good choice by Jenna Gray, but just hit wide by the freshman.
UCLA's middle really interested in trying to shut down Jenna Gray in that middle attack. So leaving their hitters one-on-one, leaving Stanford's left side hitters one-on-one.
Well, that swing was not even close by Kip.
Good touch.
Barry with the perfect dig. Mosier again off the edge of the block and out of bounds. Nice transition volleyball for the Bruins.
UCLA committing 2 blockers. Watch. UCLA's committing a couple of blockers to try to stop Gates on that slide.
The ball a little bit low, and Barry, the libero, all over it. Smart shot up into the block by Simo to restart the point. And then Mosier looking for a touch. Comes away with it. How good have the Bruins been in transition so far?
How about that set by the middle Smith? She knew her left side hitter wouldn't be ready, so she back set. That's not something you see done very well by middles. Earns herself an assist.
Number 17, Sabrina Smith, 6'3", redshirt sophomore, making very nice volleyball play. Devin Chang is really struggling from the service line. By my count, that is 3 service errors for the second setter, the second of 2 put out on the floor. The other, Callie Thompson, UCLA going with a 6-2. Tied at 7. Perfect pass. Mosier through a seam in the block. Excuse me, that was Hadrich, Lexi Hadrich. UCLA's got some nice arms.
And they show up really well when you have a perfect pass that goes into that blue circle. That's the first touch, and it just means, as you could see there, Stanford's middle, number 3, Campbell, very late arriving. Tough to slow the UCLA offense down.
Kip, a second swing in between a couple of defenders. Mac May and Kelly Barry, the libero for UCLA, unable to get in front of that as Fitzmaurice comes back on, and Jenna Gray will go back to the line. 14 aces so far on the year for Gray. That was some heat dug by Gray, and winning the joust is Sabrina Smith for the Bruins.
UCLA is bringing some heat at the pins, and that time it was Hadrich, even though Stanford came up with it. It was There's a certain sound that you'll hear when somebody's taking a big rip at the ball.
Yeah, very impressed with the firepower and velocity from the Bruins so far, right around the dial. Kip wasn't exactly ready for that, but a lucky break as that ball is deflected away from McMay and the Bruins.
Confusion that time between Kip and the setter Gray. So you see Kip goes to her left. She wanted to go inside the setter, and then Gray set backward over her head. Lucky kill for Stanford, but they'll take it.
Hedrich is quickly dug. Barry with a nice pass and a very, very good reaction here. That ball hit out of bounds, but a touch is called. Good high flat swing once again, this time by Lexi Hedrich, coming off a career high 15 kills at Oregon State. Once again won 3-2. 16-14 in the fifth by the Bruins. Good serve. And on the overpass, McMay registers the kill. We'll give you her numbers. May now with 6 kills on 14 swings.
You know you've done your job as a server when you ace somebody like Megan McClure. One of the big reasons she's on the court for Stanford is because of her strong ball control.
Maybe a mistake there going to Hintz. Perfect pass. Ooh. And that ball misplayed in the right front that time by Mosier. So a break for the Stanford Cardinal. Fitzmaurice registers her 3rd kill. UCLA hitting 269 to only 157 so far for the Cardinal. Way below the Cardinal average of 284. Fitzmaurice ripping down the line, that time nicely dug by Barry, but Mosier unable to turn and continue the play.
Yeah, it's really tough to take away everything as when you're blocking Fitzmaurice. She has good vision, and she can hit anywhere from pretty sharp cross court to straight down the line like she did there. That's called hitting with range. The ability on lots of different sets to hit lots of different places.
And talk about a couple of players who are awfully familiar. Jenna Gray and Adriana Fitzmaurice have been playing together since they were 13 years of age. I think they've got a pretty good feel. Here's McMay. UCLA leading by 1, but more importantly up 1-0 after they took the first, and quite frankly outplayed the Cardinal in just about every phase of the game, but particularly block defense. UCLA won at 25-22. Cardinal working on McMay a little bit. Simo off the top of the block. Quick transition from McClure. Good block touch once again by Ryan. And she gets back and converts offensively.
It wasn't just one, but there were 2 great block touches in that play. You know they're really good block touches when the middle can come down afterward, like you see here, and get herself set the ball. Emily Ryan with the kill on that play. She got 2 swings because of those 2 very high touches that turn into free balls.
One-on-one on the outside, deep cross court corner. Nice play by the receiver and setter, Jenna Gray. And we talked about UCLA going through some injury issues and whatnot, and getting off to a fairly slow start to the season. Lost to Baylor, lost to Nebraska, and in conference they've lost to Washington, Oregon, and Utah. But I'll tell you what, when they've got all their pieces together in this 6-2, they are solid. McMay missed that. Oh yeah, just caught a piece of the end line. Nice deep hard swing, and I'm really impressed with the libero. Kelly Berry is a superb receiver.
Yep, Stanford's been testing her and not finding much success. I like UCLA's choice, even though they play a 2-setter offense, so they always have 3 hitters in the front row to mix in the occasional back row swing like they got to McMay in that case.
McMay now with 7 kills. Chang on. That is a pass right on target. And a good block touch again, this time by Hadrich, number 12 in white, out on the Bruins' right side. Oh, what a dig by May. Oh, that should have been a double contact. Letting them play. Simo! Wow. The former libero slicing off an angle inside the 3-meter line. And I mean way inside the 3-meter line.
Yeah, liberos aren't supposed to be able to hit this kind of angle. What an up. But watch that sharp, that's a thin slice.
Really consequential weekend for both the Stanford Cardinal, currently ranked number 2 in both the ABCA coaches poll and the RPI, and UCLA currently at 24. UCLA has lost to Santa Barbara, lost to Hawaii, played a pretty tough schedule, but they need a marquee win, and this is their first of 2 opportunities this weekend with the California Golden Bears coming in on Sunday. The Bears having a wonderful season at 7-1, 17-1 overall. Their only loss, Kartchkirai, is to Stanford. They're ranked number 15.
Huge props to Coach Stamkos, and what a job they've done. What a turnaround for Cal, and now 7-1 and leading in the conference. Nobody would have predicted that after last season.
Gates, what a dig by Chang. UCLA is out-digging Stanford by a wide margin so far. That's going to be a double contact. Hadrich, along with Sabrina Smith, might have delivered a facial, and timeout called by Stanford. And that is right on the heels of the media timeout. So Kevin Hambly realizing that the Bruins right now are white hot. UCLA on a 4-0 run.
LA, when somebody's hitting 0, they're scoring just as much for the opposition. Obviously, you want to do a lot better than that.
Chang for the Bruins. Right side on the slide, Madeline Gates, number 15 in Cardinal. Again, the former UCLA Bruin, was here last year where she was a second-team All-American out of San Diego, California. And she, too, has been hot, hitting over 400 over the last 6. Stanford has won 6 in a row. Off the top of the tape. Nice stab that time by Sabrina Smith, and puts the ball away. What a beautiful save by number 17 in white.
Middles are not just on the court to block and attack, and earlier in that play, the presence of number 17 Smith to keep the ball alive. Sometimes those serves will just dribble over the net.
What a block by Jenna Gray.
But the other thing you have to stay aware of, Paul, is when somebody like Jenna Gray is in the front row, she can jump and block that. And so a middle or anybody in the front row has to be aware and not take a swing low into her hands like Smith did on that one.
Gray back at the line. Stanford trailing 1-9 and 18-15 here at Pauley Pavilion. Another really good pass by Barry. And that just rocketed off the block and out of bounds by Lexi Hadrich, wearing number 12 in white, just a redshirt freshman.
You said it, Paul. The first contact for UCLA, significantly higher quality than the first contact for Stanford, and so UCLA is running a much more efficient offense. Nice tough serve.
Handled pretty well by Kip over the top. Nice dig by Semo. Oh, what a block again. McMay on the outside with 6'4" Emily Ryan.
They were capable of coming back, and they did exactly that.
Mari Hinkle on to serve, 5'9" freshman out of Minnesota.
Nice by Fitzmaurice.
Chang is there, and good hustle once again by Emily Ryan, using all 6'4" of her length to tip that ball away from Stanford. UCLA now leading 21-15 over the number 2 team in the country. UCLA unranked, number 24 in the RPI.
Another out-of-system pass. And you can see Kip has let off on those last 2 swings. She got blocked so much, she's getting very tentative.
Trying to go to Fitzmaurice. The Bruins just continue digging everything and on target. Better block, can't be kept alive. Nice block that time by Campbell with some help from Kip, number 10, on the outside as Kate Formico comes on to serve.
That was a really tough swing for Hadrich as a right-hander to get a set 11 feet inside the sideline.
Bruins still leading by 5, looking for the 2-0 lead. And nice play on the slide. Adriana Fitzmaurice spent a year as a middle blocker, so it's not unusual for her to be able to play with really quick rhythm off the right side.
Yeah, she's such a good all-around player. She's basically could play 3 different positions, but then they can use her in transition with that slide 1-footed attack.
Tight pass, and we got a net violation called against Stanford. Mike Seeley was crouched down in front of his bench speaking with his other coaches. They were very close to calling a timeout, but now 22-17 is the advantage as setter Callie Thompson out of Las Vegas. And again, the transfer from Portland. A couple of transfers from Portland and also from USD playing very important roles for the Bruins. Nice swing off the inside hand that time of Ryan. Give the kill to Megan McClure. McClure now cards with 6 kills, but 18 swings to get there. And for Kendall Kip, 6 kills as well, 18 swings. That ball just out of bounds. A break for the Bruins. They lead it comfortably, 23-18. Stanford has beaten the Bruins 4 straight times, and they're just 2 points away from falling behind 2-0. Here's May.
Yeah, it was in that NCAA championship year of 2016, the last time the Bruins actually swept Stanford, winning both home and away, but Stanford went on to win the title.
Pretty small front line now for the Cardinal. Right side, Mosier off the top of the block and down, and UCLA, after it was 15-13, they cruised to the finish line. Now set point, leading 24-19. It was 7-6 early at the media timeout. The Bruins led 15-13, but they have controlled the back third of this set. Free ball coming to Stanford. They got to have it. Nice set to Gates off the edge of the block that time of Savissimo. Still 4 more set points. A comfortable lead for UCLA, especially the way they've been siding out. Through the first couple of sets, they sided out at 73% in the first set, 69% so far in the second. Those are good numbers for the Bruins, much higher than Stanford's. Kick, able to get that ball down inside that time of Sabrina Smith. Now it's 24-21. Fourth set point for UCLA. Good pass. Kip ripping inside, dug by Barry, and then a couple of Bruins. Little miscommunication, and now you're going to see a timeout. No question. Mike Seeley, the head coach in his 10th year for UCLA, calling a timeout. Now it's 24-22. I was doing a match earlier this year down at Texas A&M, 5th set. Florida's behind 9-3. Came back and won.
There have been some amazing 5th set comebacks. There's always more time than you think, and that was actually on defense by
at 24 for UCLA. This would go a long way to solidifying a spot back in the tournament after you pointed out, Karch, before first serve. The first losing season in the history of UCLA women's volleyball was last year. Set point once again. Number 5 for the Bruins. May out of the back row and gets the ball to the floor. Really smart choice, and I'm sure a good call on the sideline by head coach Mike Seeley, going to his All-American outside hitter.
In the match after not playing so free in other parts of this season.
Coming into the week, Stanford number 2, as we talked about. Baylor was number 1 in both the rankings and the RPI, but that will certainly change as they fell on Wednesday night to Texas, who is ranked number 4. 3-0 and underway here in the third. Must-win situation for the Cardinal. McClure going off speed and gets the ball to the floor.
And in the first and second set, UCLA was all over that shot. They talked about it this morning in the scouting report, but that time a blown assignment. Kaylee Thompson not being able to step in and come up with that ball.
That ball drifts out of bounds.
Well, one of the things you think about as a coach when you're down 2-0 is, do we need to change some of the matchups at the net? Stanford has decided not to change the matchups. We've got the same matchup as in the first 2 sets. UCLA started with Kaylee Thompson setting, started in right back, and Stanford started in the same alignment also.
Gates registering the kill, number 15 in Cardinal. That ball deflected off the block and out of bounds as Adriana Fitzmaurice, the 2-time second-team All-American, will go back to the line. Fitzmaurice, 5 kills, 13 swings. Berry, the libero for UCLA, has been as valuable as any player on the floor in a white jersey for UCLA. She is just passing a lot of court and right on target as she goes back to serve.
And I think she's probably had too many opportunities to pass. I think Stanford should aim for a white jersey, not a light blue one, for the rest of this match.
Let's give somebody else a try. Yeah, she's been right on target.
Just like you probably don't want to put it to the white jersey if you're serving at Stanford. Morgan Hentz, their best passer.
Megan McClure, again, an honorable mention All-American last year. And when she played 6 rotations last year before the arrival of outstanding freshman Kendall Kipp, 2.6 kills, hit 270 on the outside. She is a very good offensive player. Actually put down championship point for the Cardinal last year against Nebraska. Simo, smart shot up into the block, but her teammates can't cover. And Madeline Gates whipping that ball through the block and defense of UCLA.
And it started with the tough serve of Megan McClure, not serving the blue jersey, but serving a white jersey, causing trouble for UCLA and giving Stanford an easy point opportunity. See if she serves it down the line again at Jenny Moser. Nope, goes to the blue jersey. Perfect pass.
And look at the result. Look at the result.
That's the mistake that can cost you by serving the wrong zone.
See, you have Berry in the middle, libero, and then you have Simo on the left side, former libero. You got to serve over here.
Yep, got to serve to the right on our screen, the way we were watching that replay, and the right was the white jersey.
Chang back on. UCLA 6-2, looking very, very comfortable. Mosier and Hedrich in particular have been just fantastic. Gates again pulls that ball cross body and missed it out of bounds. That is the 13th hitting error for the Stanford Cardinal. Hitting error statistically in volleyball, ball hit out of bounds or blocked back on your side for a point.
Another tough serve for the Bruins that earns them a free ball. Oh man, that is a huge error by a senior and one of the best liberos in the country.
Maybe one of the best liberos ever, and I don't think that's an overstatement.
But you can feel her frustration. They're down 2-0 and she's trying to get a kill out of nothing, and you just can't try to make something out of nothing. You got to cause a little bit of trouble, but give your block a chance.
Another pass way off the net. McClure, not a very dangerous attacker from behind the 3-meter line. Simo smart up into the block, reset.
Nice touch.
Dug by Caitlin Keefe in the back row and then covered by Gates. Simo high flat off the top of the block and down for number 11 in white. Having a good year. Look at these numbers, Karch, for the former Bro. 3.1 kills, hitting .272, and I talked about the schedule they played, and 3.1 digs. It's like having two Bros out there.
It's happening in the Pac-12 at Oregon also. None of them are doing the same thing.
Yep.
Some really capable all-around volleyball players.
Tight pass. And Simo, what a good reaction. Not once, not twice, but maybe for the third time by Jenna Gray, number 1 for Stanford.
Yep, got to be aware when Jenna Gray is up at the net and allowed legal to block. We'll watch from the end line now. You see the best passer in blue for UCLA, and look where that serve goes. Perfect pass. One of the reasons, Paul, that you see so many serves go to the wrong place is because servers feel most comfortable serving right down the barrel of the court, right down the pipe. You got to get good at serving closer to the sideline and keeping it away from people like Kelly Berry.
Remember, UCLA on top 2-0. Kip misses that ball out of bounds. What do you do if you're Stanford in order to adjust? The thought that came to my mind was go from area 1 to area 1 and try to isolate into the cross court.
Or you have other targets. If you see a Bro or like Kelly Berry shading one way, then you can just go add a different passer cross court instead of down the line.
Stanford is really out of rhythm, high up into the block. Oh, nice chase. Simo chasing that ball down for the Bruins. Momentum swing for both teams. Stanford in trouble here, trailing 8-5. Forcing Kip to go off speed. Oh, what a saving block. Bring Kendall Kip an oxygen mask.
What a rally. And I like how Jenna Gray broke out her left hand, almost got the kill, but Simo stays in and keeps the play alive, and Kip shutting down the line.
Simo, good first contact, and then Mac May just thumping down the line. She has got a magnificent arm swing.
Yeah, she's challenging a very good line blocker in Adriana Fitzmaurice. You got to pick your spots carefully.
May now with 9 kills on 21 swings, hitting .333 as the middle blocker Sabrina Smith will go back to serve. That ball into the top of the tape, point possession back to the Stanford Cardinal. Again, 7-1 in conference, tied with the California Golden Bears. And it feels a little bit like the Bears are kind of the story that Baylor was last year. Maybe not to the same extent. Last year, Cal was just 7-13 in conference.
Now you can see UCLA's libero Berry is to the right of your screen, so it's a little easier to not hit the blue, but hit the white with your service.
Dug by Hintz, and Fitzmaurice down the line. That was well designed and well executed by Stanford right from the service line. And Formico is going over into the right back area 1.
Yep, and that serve created an immediate scoring chance because May wasn't able to control it as well.
Maybe Stanford has found something, but Formico, after a very good serve, missed that one, and UCLA leading 10-8. If you're just joining us, Stanford ranked number 2, playing without Catherine Plummer for the 7th straight match, the 2-time Player of the Year. UCLA won the opening set, played brilliantly throughout every phase, 25-22, and won the second by an identical score. There is Catherine Plummer, 5 kills per set, hitting .300. Affects every phase of the game.
Oh, nice hit.
Thompson hanging in defensively off the top. Simo, good first contact. May off the block and out of bounds. Mac May now in double figures with 10 kills. That was a few years ago. If you play in the Pac-12 conference, you play a lot of top-ranked opponents. Stanford has been there a lot.
Thompson's been hitting McClure straight down this line really effectively.
Perfect touch by Barry, the libero, and Morgan Hintz covering territory. She went right, the ball went left, and a timeout called by the Cardinal. We'll step aside. UCLA on top 12-8 in the third. UCLA up 2-0, 12-8. And Stanford right now siding out Karch at only 45%, and here's a big reason why.
Yep, they're serving tough, so they immediately cause trouble. And then watch Morgan Hintz, white jersey on your side of the screen. See how she sometimes charges. She covers so much court that she takes herself right out of the play. And sometimes less is more.
Thompson to serve. UCLA on top 12-8. This would be a huge win for the Bruins. Oh, what a block! Emily Ryan with the roof.
What a read by Ryan. Gray going with the back set. As she moves forward, she still wants to keep her middle. Campbell, Holly Campbell, as an option. And that was no surprise whatsoever to UCLA.
Superb block in UCLA. Oh, that's going to be an ace serve. UCLA continuing to roll over the Cardinal and back to Campbell. Holly Campbell, the sophomore out of Texas, just 1 for 6. The Bruins block was really doing a good job controlling the middles for Stanford.
Yep. Also, Kaylee Thompson just ripping this serve down the near sideline. She's giving McClure fits.
And keeping the ball off of Morgan Hintz. A superior pass that time. Fitzmaurice is dug right on top of the net.
Nice patience by UCLA there.
May going off speed, and Gray and McClure on a collision course, and they both pulled off.
Two good things about what Mac May did there. Number one, when you have a huge arm, mixing in the off speed once in a while is deceptive and effective. And the other is she put it between two players. She didn't tip line. She didn't tip cross court. She tipped the seam and found the floor.
Big lead for UCLA. That ball into the top of the tape. Cardinal are staying together. They're trying to generate some rhythm and some serve receive, and Morgan Hintz back to serve.
Now this is where it's so huge not to have Plummer, because you don't have anybody on the bench that if you want to make a change, with Kendall Kipper on the bench, they could, confusion.
Looking for Morgan Hintz again to come all the way from the left back. And Adriana Fitzmaurice was looking for somebody else to jump in and set this ball.
Yep. So often Morgan Hintz will get over there and make that second contact. So Fitzmaurice was thinking, all right, I got to go get ready to hit.
Fitzmaurice one-on-one off the perfect pass and delivery by Gray. But still a big lead for UCLA. 16-10. They won the first two sets by an identical score of 25-22. Maybe the Cardinal, okay, they're playing without Catherine Plummer, and they're not playing at the top of their game, but I think UCLA is the biggest reason for that. They're digging, blocking, and passing superbly, and that ball out of bounds. Good dig again, another point scoring opportunity to extend the lead. What a good swing. Tight set, and Mosier just rips the ball off the edge. Timeout, Stanford. Wow, what a performance. 4 times an All-American. I think you qualify on that distinguished list.
And you got to give huge props to the legend of a coach. 50 years here, Al Skates, 19 NCAA titles, brought so many great players here, some of the all-time greats, and I was lucky to be a part of it.
And they were lucky that you were a part of it. What a performance so far for the UCLA Bruins. It's hard to look at the way this team is playing on this occasion and think that they're 5-3 in conference and 10-7 overall.
Well, we mentioned it at the top of the show how big this match is for both these teams. Nice read by Thompson. But UCLA looking for wins against top-ranked opponents. They got 7 chances out of their last 12.
Must have for Stanford, and the timing's not there. Free ball UCLA. Looking to double up on Stanford.
Nicely touched. Way to get the ball back.
And I'm not sure that ball cleared. It did not. That's going to be for contact and a break for Stanford, but trailing 19-11.
Really like what Jenny Moser did on that play. She didn't have a great set for UCLA. Tapped it into the block, got it back, even though her team didn't win the point.
Good pass, given how tough that serve was, and a better block. 3 big Cardinals that time in front of McMay.
Yep, and we've seen it through this set. When McClure hits a tough serve down the line, Stanford has chances to score points.
Look at how much court the libero Kelly Berry is taking, and that ball served out of bounds. It's been a wonderful team effort so far for UCLA, right around the rotation, but Berry, the libero, with the offense from McMay among others, have led the way. Kelly Berry, 5'6" sophomore out of Manhattan Beach, spent her first year at University of San Diego, an outstanding program, averaged almost 4 digs per set there. Really good addition to the Bruins. Touch off the edge of the block off of Simo and give the kill to Gates. Both middle blockers for Stanford so far on the night have been pretty quiet, and they've been playing well. Gates now with 8 kills on 23 swings. Stanford still hitting under 150 on the night. Wilson on to serve and play some defense. Hip slicing. I'm not sure. She left an awful lot on the spatula that time. That ball did not come off her hand very cleanly, but Stanford will take it as Sydney Wilson out of Toronto goes back to serve.
Yeah, but it started with the good first touch of Caitlin Keith. That's what Stanford needs more of. That's what UCLA's been doing so well.
That ball rattles through and down once again by Lexi Hadrich, who through a couple of sets was hitting well over 400. She hasn't done anything to slow down. Now 19 kills. Excuse me, 9 kills on 19 swings. Very impressive. That ball into the top of the tape, but still a comfortable lead at 21-15 as Fitzmaurice comes back on. McMay with 11 kills. Emily Ryan, the middle blocker, 10 of 14 with 1 error and also 10 kills for Hedrich.
And we can see Jenna Gray changing it up. Normally she likes to serve from behind the left part of the court. Now she's serving from behind her normal defensive position, trying to hit somebody from a different angle.
Looking cross court and right in the middle of the court to Berry. And McMay, good cover by Simo. McMay again, and just stronger. And too much velocity through the block and down. A dozen kills now for May. McMay out of Dubuque, Iowa, was an honorable mention All-American last year. And we said before first serve, she would be one of the key pieces. She has scored a lot of valuable points as Marie Hinkle, 5'9" freshman, comes on to serve. Fitzmaurice able to get that ball to the floor. Pretty good pass that time by Kip. UCLA serving strategy has been exceptional.
They have picked the right targets often, but it's not just about hitting the target. You got to hit space around and hit it with some real pace. Otherwise, it's too easy.
Overpass, and that's right in the hands of 6'6" Adriana Fitzmaurice, 22-17. No margin for error for Stanford.
UCLA's last 2 touches, not very good off serve receive. Stanford creating more problems.
And that's a huge break. Formico trying to force the ball down the line onto Mac May and missed that one, not even close. Wow, yep. Got to go back 3 seasons. Loss to Dave Rubio's Arizona Wildcats, the last loss to an unranked opponent.
Comes Thompson down the line at McClure.
And that ball just drifts a little bit long. 23-18. UCLA has outplayed Stanford all night long, out hitting them 284 to 170. Was looking for the numbers. I don't think that Stanford has hit anywhere near under 200 all season long. Cut back out of the middle to Emily Ryan. Match points, and half a dozen of them. Is this shocking to you, Karch?
I would not have called a 3-0 Bruin win. Not from what we've seen these 2 teams accomplish to this point.
Mac May, match point number 1. To end a 4-match losing streak against the defending national champions. Fitzmaurice down the line. The ball into the antenna. The ball was touched, but the ball into the antenna, and the Bruins have pulled off a huge upset. I've got to think about it for a moment. The biggest upset of the college volleyball